Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in this crazy world we're living in. Now, of course, every morning we know what we're going to be talking about. It's this mushroom murder trial. And the good news is Erin has finished today. Erin Patterson, of course, who is accused of murdering 3 of her husband's, estranged husband's relatives. Erin Patterson, here she is. She's accused of deliberately putting in death cap mushrooms, which are not these kind of mushrooms. I just think they look nicer. That's the only reason I've put those there. These are death cap mushrooms, very innocuous looking mushrooms, aren't they? I mean, at the end of the day, if you saw those, they don't really look any different, do they, from normal mushrooms? So that is what Erin is accused of doing, drying out those mushrooms in a dehydrator similar to this, inviting her estranged relatives over for lunch. And when she brought them over for lunch, what she made was beef Wellington. But not a beef Wellington like that, a log of beef Wellington. She allegedly made individual beef Wellingtons and served everybody an individual portion. And according to the survivor, Ian Wilkinson over here on the right, they all let off grey plates. Their servings were already plated up on grey plates, and they were just invited to take whichever one they wanted. We still don't know whatever happened to those grey plates. Erin denies she ever had grey plates, but Ian is insistent that she did. So they all had, they just chose whichever plate. Erin, according to Ian, but denied by Erin, had a different size plate, a smaller plate, an orange plate. Anyway, they tucked in, it was said to be delicious. They had a lovely lunch. The people that were there, of course, this is Don Patterson, Gail Patterson, who are the parents of Erin's estranged husband, Simon Patterson, who was also supposed to be at the lunch, but in the end he didn't go. So he was a lucky boy. So they died. They started showing symptoms about 24 hours later. I mean, it took quite a long time for the symptoms to manifest, because that's what happens apparently with these toxic mushrooms. They kill you, but they kill you slowly. They sort of almost attack your organs from inside your body and kill them. Really, their livers were just, destroyed. And all these 3 on the left, Don, Gail, and then Heather, which this is Heather, who was Gail's sister. She died. So those 3 died, and Ian Wilkinson hung on with the skin of his teeth. And thank goodness, because he hung on and he has given testimony in this trial. And even the ones that are deceased, this is Ian Wilkinson, even the ones that are deceased have given some testimony. Because it took them a few days to die, there have been things that have come up that they said as well, like the confirmation about the plates and things like that. And of course, the confirmation that Erin, for whatever reason, This is the biggest lie that Erin has told. Erin, we call Erin Pinocchio because she admittedly has told a bunch of lies. I mean, countless lies. But she's telling the truth now, according to her. She's told all those lies, but now she's telling the truth, according to her. She said she told these poor people, when she invited them round, she said she was inviting them round because she had something to discuss. She didn't want to discuss in front of her children, though now she's denying that as well. And Ian tells us, or told us at the beginning when he gave his testimony, she told them that she had ovarian cancer. And she didn't know how to tell her children, and they all prayed for her. Anyway, she's now saying she didn't say that. She only said it was possible she had ovarian cancer. And the real reason she said that to them was because she was thinking of having gastric bypass surgery, and she was too embarrassed to tell them that she was having that. So she decided to tell them she had cancer instead, like you do. And then, of course, it transpired that the place she said she was going for the gastric band surgery, they don't do that procedure there. So she changed her mind and said, actually, it might have been liposuction. She's not sure. She can't remember. She doesn't know. But then when the prosecutor got one day wrong, said one day was, a Friday, Erin was straight in there to say, or say the prosecutor said it was a Thursday. Erin was straight in there to say, actually, that was a Friday, even though it was 2 years ago. She remembers everything, except when it's convenient for her to forget, of course. So basically, that's where we are. Erin made this shock decision, didn't she? Or Erin or her defence, to actually take the stand, which is unusual for accused murderers to take the stand, because it normally doesn't go well, does it? But, anyway, that's what was decided. And she's been giving testimony since last week. So she started off with the easy ride that you get from your defence lawyer. She's been being cross-examined all this week. And I think it's been very uncomfortable for her. So the good news, before we start to look at exactly what happened today, is she has finished her testimony now. So thank goodness, we feel like we can see an end, because, it's been a very long trial. We're well into the 7th week, so it's going to go into 8 weeks. And, that's difficult for the victims, isn't it? I mean, I can't imagine how Ian feels sitting there and listening to her say, well, more or less say that he's a liar. And the fact his wife died, and, just very difficult. So the sooner this trial's over, the better, really, one way or another, for everybody. A relief for Erin, I would imagine, too, to finish off her testimony today, because she has done, quite a few days of very intense testimony, very intense for her. And she had to think a lot about things because, when you lie, you have to try and remember what you said. So I don't think it's been easy for Erin to go through this. But anyway, it's over now. She's probably having a lie down in a darkened room with a mushroom omelette, I suppose, because, she loves her mushrooms. I wonder if she is still eating mushrooms. Anyway, so I just want to say before we start, thank you to everybody who's followed this case with me, especially. We followed it, haven't we? We've done the trial right from day one. This is day 31 of this trial. And if you want to catch up, if you haven't caught all the shenanigans that have happened since day one of this trial, there's a playlist in the description box of this video, which reminds me, there's a couple of things. When I set up a live stream, I have to set up, I haven't shared it on Twitter yet. I have to share it on Twitter, right? So I've just got a bit of admin to do before I carry on. Won't be a sec. Talk amongst yourselves while I just have to share it on Twitter or on X. I'm still an X a Twitter person. I still refer to it as Twitter. It'll always be Twitter for me, I think. Oh God, now it's asking me to log in. Right, hang on. Right, I had an awful day yesterday. Everything got signed out of. Do you know, yesterday was just one of those days where everything goes wrong. So I can't share it on Twitter because I can't get into it. So let's try doing the other things that I need to do. Will I manage to do them? Oh dear. Yeah, yesterday was just one of those days. Everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong. Well, not everything, obviously. Still here. But it was depressing, so. Let's see. Yeah, so normally when I do a live, it takes so much setting up. I mean, I'm not whinging about it, but it really does. You'd be surprised how many things you have to remember to do before you start. And I've forgotten all of them this morning. Sorry, I've got to do them now, because if I don't do them, it won't work properly as far as YouTube's concerned. And I don't want that. See. And of course I've got 2 channels that I've got to set up. I wish I could put these channels together, but YouTube says I can't do it. So I have my Vicky Marie Chats channel, but also I have my Spanish and English channel, which people on there seem to quite like the crime as well. But what that means is I have to sell 2 channels. I'm getting there. Sorry, you have to bear with me a little bit. Lots of clicking. Right, I think I finished that. The only thing I haven't managed to do, for some reason, I can't get into Twitter. Right, you all still here, or have you got bored? You probably got bored with me just... I'm just going to see if I can get into Twitter, because I like to share it on there. Why is it asking me to log in? I've already been on there this morning. I hope it's not going to be one of the... I'm in. I think I'm in. Because, yeah, you know, sometimes then they... Oh, God, you have to give your password and this, that and the other. Which, of course, I can never remember. Right, I'm nearly there. Just need to share this. Just share this to Twitter and then I'm finished. I'm getting there. Okay, finished. Okay, sorry. So I'm coming back. So yeah, thank you to all of you that watch, all of you that have liked the video or shared it. Thank you so much. And thank you for caring about these victims. Special thank you to my members. Today is Thursday. Joe, we're going to talk about Summer Wells tonight. Some news has come out about Summer Wells. That's what we're going to talk about in members tonight. So why not think about becoming a member and joining in the discussion about Summer and her family. Thank you to those of you who've bought me Ko-fis, sent me super stickers, sent me nice emails, left me messages. All of you, I appreciate all of you more than you know. Okay, let's take the banner off. So, hi, lovely lurkers. Hi, replay crew. And now I'm going to come in and say hello to those of you who are brave enough to come into the chat. I hope we've not got any strange people in the chat today. Sometimes we get a few interesting people, don't we? Hi, David. Hi, Bluebell. Hi, Darren. Yeah, I think those plates will have been smashed and dumped. I think Erin would have had a Greek moment, wouldn't she? God knows where they are, though. God knows where they are. Hi, Angel. She won't need a gastric band when she gets into prison. As long as they don't put her in the kitchen. I mean, she may get found not guilty. You just don't know. Oh, sorry to hear you had a bad day, Angel. I just think when one thing goes wrong in a day, everything goes wrong, doesn't it? And you have more good days than bad days. But I just think when you get up and things go wrong, you think, oh God, you feel like you might as well go back to bed for the rest of the day. Daniel. Hi, Excel. Okay, so where are we? Oh, so it's a funny old trial, this, isn't it? Because I was thinking about this morning. I think it might have gone better for Erin if she would have just said, yes, I did mean to make the meal because I was annoyed, but I didn't, realise that they were going to die. That might have been her best defence, because the defence she's taken is basically, I didn't do it. But it just seems so obvious now, after all her lies and that and all the evidence that's been presented, that she did put those death cap mushrooms in there. What is not maybe obvious is, did she mean to kill them? Or was she just trying to make the meal in this Munchausen's by proxy way? And then as they're ill, she can sort of go round and help them. And, I'm very suspicious still about what came up in the evidence that at some point during COVID, when Don had started doing the COVID live sermons, and Don had been organising it, hadn't he, with his wife Gail, and Gail got ill. And who stepped in to help Don? Erin. So I'd love to know how Gail was ill then. Was that? I think Erin will do anything for attention. And she's not the first one. She's not the first woman to do it. People do it all the time. Munchausen's by proxy is a real thing that people do. So we can't think, oh, no, that can't be. It could possibly be. And I just wonder if that time when Don and Gail were doing those, sorting out the internet and everything, Gail suddenly got ill and Erin saved the day. So I wonder if this is what she was planning here, because she certainly wasn't getting enough attention, or as much attention as she had got before, was she? So maybe that's what she was intending. Maybe she did not intend to actually kill them. But the problem is, she hasn't taken that as a defence, has she? She's taken the defence that, no, definitely not, she didn't do it. It was these Asian grocers where the mushrooms came from. She did not. And I think that has been proven, or it feels to me, during this trial, that is just not true. So how the jury will look on it, though, is a whole, it's a complicated case, isn't it? So Right, where are we? Where are we? Where are we? Oh God, sorry. God, why is my voice going? I haven't even spoken this morning yet. Right, let's have a look. Let's go there, go over. So, in case anybody does not know, this, of course, happened in Australia, in Victoria, in a little village nearby. So it's a very rural area where it all sort of supposedly took place at Erin's home, where she invited her ex-in-laws to lunch. So anyway, that's what we're gonna go right from the beginning. So they do give us a little update of what happened on Wednesday, or a summary of what happened yesterday. I think we'll just, because there's a little delay. Apparently there was a delay in the they've had all sorts. They've had protesters, they've had electricity cuts, it's been like legal arguments, there's been a lot of delays as well here and there. So here's 5 things we heard on Wednesday. Dr. Rogers said Miss Patterson was initially reluctant to have her children assessed at the hospital following the deadly lunch because she knew that they had not eaten leftovers from the contaminated meal and their lives were not at risk. And Miss Patterson said that was incorrect. So Dr. Rogers is the prosecution counsel. Let's have a look at her again, so that we can put faces to... Here she is. This is Dr. Nanette Rogers. She's the prosecutor, and she was very accusatory at Erin in her testimony, her cross-examination yesterday. She accused Erin of quite a lot of things, which, of course, Erin denied. Miss Patterson was asked why she would feed her children leftovers, even though she'd been experiencing, supposedly, diarrhea in the aftermath of the lunch, and she knew some of the guests were unwell. So yeah, that was interesting. So the lunch was on the Saturday. By the Sunday, a couple of the guests were ill, and Erin said she had an upset tummy, but she still fed her children leftovers from that meal. And Miss Patterson said she did not know or suspect that the meal had made the meal. Also, she challenged her about this Enrich clinic where Erin was supposedly had an appointment for gastric bypass, but they do not offer gastric bypass procedures. And the accused still maintained she bought the dried mushrooms that she believed ended up in the fatal meal from an Asian grocer in Melbourne's southeast. But they've never been able to find this Asian grocer. No, there was a big investigation launched, of course, because there could have been other poison mushrooms out there. God. And that was Miss Dr. Rogers said that was a deliberate lie because you knew you were guilty of deliberately poisoning your guests. She rejected that. And another thing she said was a beef Wellington was the perfect dish for pungent dried mushrooms, and Miss Patterson previously told the court she had avoided using these dried mushrooms from an Asian grocer because of their strong smell. But she thought they'd be perfect in this dish. Now, there's so much more came up. I would advise you to watch the video because there's loads of other things came up. That is too short a summary, really. Okay, so Miss Patterson is again wearing a dark coloured top with white polka dots. I think she's worn the same top more or less every day. That must be her court top. And the ABC, they're in the media overflow room today. So again, let me just remind you, this trial is not being televised, but the media are watching it. There's 8 members of the media allowed in the courtroom, and they are chosen by lot every day. And then the rest of the media is in the overflow room where they're shown the trial on video, a video link. So they are watching it, but they're not allowed to take photos, recordings. They're only allowed to report back like ABC are doing. So all this information, it is third hand, is subject to the person who's actually there, so what they think of it all. So unfortunately we can't see it firsthand, which is a shame, because you get more of an idea, don't you? You get more of a feel if someone's lying or not. So here we go with the mushrooms. We're taken to some photos of mushrooms. Dr. Rogers takes Miss Patterson to a series of photos of mushrooms taken from an SD card. It's funny that, because last night I actually put an SD card in my phone, only to find that Samsung doesn't support SD cards. So I don't know if that's going to make any difference to my storage or not. But anyway, it's in there. They don't format, Samsung do not format SD cards, so you can't use it as internal storage or something. I mean, it's all Greek to me. So but then it was funny when I looked this morning and we were talking about SD cards on here. So Dr. Rogers takes Miss Patterson to a series of photos of mushrooms taken from an SD card, which the prosecutor says were taken roughly in April or May 2020. They include a mushroom on the ground outside and mushrooms which the court has previously heard appear to be photographed in Miss Patterson's home. And Miss Patterson says she can't remember. She can't remember anything. Poor Erin, she's got a touch of dementia or Alzheimer's, because there's so much she can't remember. Till the prosecutor came up with that day that was wrong, and then Erin was right in there and saying, "Oh, sorry, no, that was a Friday." She's got, what do we call it? Convenient memory, selective memory. Dr. Rogers then takes Miss Patterson to past evidence when someone commented that Simon Patterson had told them he did not know his estranged wife to forage mushrooms. Sounds like that's his opinion, yeah. And I just could think she's so sort of, oh God, I wish I could have seen her actually speaking, but I can imagine her, it's this, remember we were saying she's Vicky Pollard, isn't she? But she's the Australian Vicky Pollard. So Miss Patterson says, when asked about it, Dr. Rogers puts to Miss Patterson that in her evidence she is hedging her bets to try and make it sound like there are possible multiple sources for the mushrooms. And Miss Patterson disagrees. Yeah, I think Erin's whole defence strategy is just confuse the jury, isn't it? So, and then Erin again denies drinking coffee the morning after the deadly lunch. So this is her own son who said that he got up the morning after and she was drinking coffee. And she says, no, she wasn't. It was a coffee mug, but it wasn't coffee. It was ginger tea because she had a poorly tummy. So she's refuted the evidence of everyone. She's refuted the evidence of her ex-husband, Ian Wilkinson, the survivor, the people who died, the evidence they gave before they died. She's refuted the evidence of her son, her daughter, the doctor, the nurse, the person who was investigating, to see whether everybody's mistaken except Erin. Erin, who told the lies before, but now she's telling the truth and everybody else is wrong. I mean, this has got to go against her, hasn't it? So Miss Patterson previously told the court that was wrong and her son was mistaken. She was drinking something like a ginger and lemon tea instead. I believe he's made an assumption because on 99% of the days of his life, he's probably got up and seen me drinking a coffee. Miss Patterson says now. And Dr. Rogers suggests she would not be drinking coffee if she was unwell with diarrhea. And Miss Patterson says, I would agree with that. The prosecutor suggests that her assertion that she was drinking herbal tea is a lie, and Miss Patterson disagrees. Now, the thing is about Erin, you just think, well, I don't know. Yeah, if you had a bad tummy, you probably would be drinking more likely ginger tea or water with lemon, hot water with lemon or something like that to try and settle your stomach. But I don't know. The thing is, Erin doesn't want to admit that actually she wasn't really that poorly. She says she had a touch of diarrhea or whatever. And then you would still have your coffee, wouldn't you? But she doesn't want to admit that actually she wasn't that poorly, was she? So the prosecutor then turns to evidence. Miss Patterson has given about taking Imodium to treat diarrhea in the 48 hours after the lunge and suggests this was another lie because she did not tell health staff. Where's my... right, it's time to get the clanger on. So she said she took him as if Imodium as well. So I think her saying that she took Imodium. There you go, we started now. I think her reason for telling them that she took Imodium as well, so it's like she's trying to say that's why her symptoms weren't so strong, because she took Imodium. As if Imodium would make any difference against death cap mushrooms. Wouldn't touch the side, I'm sure maybe the others took Imodium as well. I'm sure before they ended up going to hospital, they tried other things to make their tummies better. They were in agony. And very shortly, within a couple of days, they were in an induced coma, and their liver was failing. So if Erin's trying to say, oh well, she's trying to say she didn't have the symptoms so bad because one, she didn't eat as much of a meal, though everybody else says she did. Two, she threw up after that cake that she had, so that would have brought some of the death cap mushrooms up. Three, she took some Imodium and she was drinking ginger tea, so that's why she was fine. Not because she hadn't actually even had any death cap mushrooms, because she made sure she didn't. Anyway, she did. So yeah, apparently she did not tell the health staff at Leongatha Hospital about it, and Miss Patterson disagrees. Dr. Rogers moves on to Miss Patterson's account of the car trip made to Tayab the day after the lunch for her son's flying lesson, which was ultimately cancelled. And Miss Patterson had previously told the court that on the journey, her diarrhea symptoms forced her to stop on the highway and go to the side of the road to relieve herself. But, her son didn't remember that. I mean, I think your son would remember. I know, young people, they don't take notice of everything that's going on. But I do think, they would remember you stopping the car to go for a poo in the woods. They would remember that. Of course they would. How could he not remember that? Everybody's getting their Pinocchio things out. Yay, good. So Dr. Rogers puts it to Miss Patterson. Her son did not recall her stopping for this emergency toilet trip when he spoke to the police because it never happened and it was another lie. But Miss Patterson disagrees. And don't forget, this is when she did the 9-second toilet stop. She was seen on CCTV going into the toilets at a service station. She came out 9 seconds later. What did she do? Did she throw something away there? So now the children's account of the dinner is incorrect. She then moves to the dinner that night when Miss Patterson told the court she fed her children leftover meat from a beef Wellington prepared for the lunch. Dr. Rogers then goes to the evidence from the children, who both told police that their mother prepared a meal for herself but ate little or none of it. In that police interview, Miss Patterson's daughter had told police her mother ate the same meal as her and her brother, but Miss Patterson says they're both mistaken. So this is not going to work, is it, for Erin? Surely. Surely. Everyone's mistaken, aren't they? Everyone's mistaken except Erin. For goodness sake. It's just ridiculous. Where am I going? So the prosecutor then moves to here's another one. The prosecutor then moves to an alleged conversation between Simon and Erin at hospital in the days after the lunch. Miss Patterson has previously told the court her estranged husband asked her if she'd used the dehydrator to poison his parents. And so she threw Simon under the bus, didn't she? She said that he asked her if she'd used the dehydrator to poison his parents. And it was his fault then that this triggered her anxiety, which made her throw out the dehydrator. So let's just have a little look again at Simon. Oh, it's Simon's fault she threw the dehydrator away, because according to her, when he made this comment about the dehydrator, did you use that to kill my parents? Erin said. He said, this is a dehydrator like the one that Erin, it's not the one, but like the one that Erin threw away. And now the reason she threw it away, according to her, of course, is because Simon says he didn't say that. But Erin says it's because he said that she threw the dehydrator away. Oh, Simon's mistaken. He did say that. Of course he did. And it's all his fault that Erin threw the dehydrator away. But in his evidence in the trial, Simon Patterson denied this conversation ever took place. Dr. Rogers says, I suggest this is another lie told by you to try and explain why, just the very next day, you went out to dispose of the dehydrator. And Miss Patterson, of course, disagrees. So, this is interesting. I think 100%. This is a bit sloppy police work, I've got to say, because Erin should never have been left alone with her phone, should she? Questioning then turns to what's been dubbed Phone A, which was not found by police during a search of Miss Patterson's home. Miss Patterson rejects the suggestion she hid it from police, and that's why it was never discovered. Of course she didn't. Of course she didn't. Dr. Rogers takes Miss Patterson through extensive phone records from a SIM card that was in Phone A up to August the 5th, 2023, a week after the lunch. It shows that the phone was in regular use up to sometime between 12:01 and 1:45 p.m. when the SIM card in Phone A lost connection with the network. At that time, police were conducting a search of Miss Patterson's Leongatha home, and it's agreed that several things could explain this loss of connection. So the things that could have caused this loss of connection are: the SIM card was removed from the handset, the battery was removed without turning off the handset, or the handset being damaged in such a way it would disrupt power to the handset or its connection to the network. And Dr. Rogers puts it to Miss Patterson that she removed the SIM card from Phone A when she was afforded privacy to speak with a lawyer while police were at her home. So the police, unfortunately, allowed Erin Patterson to be alone to speak to her lawyer with her phone. because all the rest of the time a policeman was with her. But Miss Patterson disagrees, saying that the conversation with her lawyer happened at 2 p.m. So you think that'd be quite easily checked, really, wouldn't it? If she says 2 p.m., what do the phone records say? Anyway, yeah, so it was a bit remiss of the police, don't you think, to leave her alone with her phone? I do think that was a bad idea by the police, wasn't it? Even though, it's not the police's fault, but, she definitely, used that opportunity. So the questioning then turns to phone B, the phone that Miss Patterson handed over to the police during the August the 5th search a week after the lunch. I suggest you did that because you knew there was no data on this phone, Dr. Rogers says. No, I did it because they asked for my phone and I gave it to them, Miss Patterson says. Dr. Rogers takes Miss Patterson to the records. I mean, this is going to do it for her as well. 3 factory resets made on phone B. Miss Patterson has previously given the following reasons to the court for the factory resets she's been asked about. So on August the 2nd, she said she did it to get her son's information off it, so she could I could set it up for me. He'd used it until early May when he'd taken it on a school camp. He slipped and fell in some mud while they were bushwalking, and the phone had got pretty coated in mud. And the charging port and whatnot were a bit muddy. God, she's full of it, this woman. Erin says she tried a few methods to clean it over time, but it stayed there drying out during that time. She says she figured out it was capable of being used on August the 2nd. Oh, what a coincidence. So I put it on charge and at some point I factory reset it. This is Stefan Stearns, isn't it? This is Stefan Stearns all over again. Yeah, factory reset. Oh, I don't know how I managed to do it. It was an accident. It was an accident with Stefan. She's, he didn't even come out with a proper reason why he did it. He just said it was an accident. She's trying to come out with all these different reasons why she did it. But everybody knows really why she did it. I mean, what was on that phone? Then another one on August the 5th. Erin says this factory reset occurred. I mean, how many times have you factory reset your phone? To me, the only time you'd factory reset your phone is if you were giving it to someone else to use. Yeah, you wouldn't want your stuff on there. Or if you was maybe swapping over to a new phone, what other reason would you have? Anyway, Erin's got loads of them. You need a reason why you factory reset your phone, get in touch with Erin Patterson. She'll come up with one for you. Erin says this factory reset occurred because I put all my apps on it, including my Google account, which included my Google photos. And I knew there were photos in there of mushrooms and the dehydrator. And I just panicked. And I didn't want them to see them, meaning the detectives. So, she's admitting there that she didn't want the detectives to see them. That's the real reason. But she's saying it was just panic. But of course, really, it was because she didn't want them to see them because she knew what she'd done. Then she did another one. So, I'm just thinking, I don't think I've ever factory reset my phone, ever. But she's done 3 within the space of a few days. So on August the 6th, she said, this is the weirdest one for me. She carried out this factory reset because at some point, so she didn't have the phone at this time, by the way. The detectives had the phone. At some point after the search of my house and the interview, and the detectives had brought me home, I remember thinking, oh, I wonder if I can log into my Google account and see where all my devices are. So I did that, and I could see my phone and my children's devices. And it was really stupid. But I thought, I wonder if they've been silly enough to leave it connected to the internet. So I hit the factory reset to see what happened, and it did. Oh my God, I need a bigger horn. We're going to need a bigger horn. I mean, what? Just unbelievable. I wonder if I can log into my Google account and see where all my devices are. So I did that, and I could see my phone and my children's devices, and it was really stupid. But I thought, I wonder if they've been silly enough to leave it connected to the internet. How would you even, how would that even, she's very devious, this woman. Her mind works very deviously. To me, that's what she's proving by saying these things. If you had some problem with the police, like in this case, if people were suspecting you of poisoning people, but you knew you hadn't done anything, you'd just hand over your phone, wouldn't you, for a start? You wouldn't be then looking on things to see if the police had been silly enough to leave it on the internet. She is so superior, this woman. She's superior. She's devious. All this to me just proves what a nasty person she is. And my only, the good thing that's come out of all this, and it's a shame that 3 people had to die, but you know what? Can you imagine if Erin went and did her nurses and midwifery course? How many people would die? What court case would we be looking at in 10 years' time? When Erin became the angel of death, one of the, like a Beverly Allitt, Lucy Letby type. Just honestly, this is, I just think, thank God she's never going to do, well, she ain't going to do it now. Oh my God, imagine if she was found innocent and then she went on to become a nurse or a midwife. Oh my God. I think Erin's enjoyed playing with people's lives. She's probably been doing it for quite a long time. This is definitely not the first time. I think maybe she went a little bit too far. Maybe she didn't mean to kill him. But I tell you what, I don't think this is the first time. Anyway, this is the first time that Erin has messed around with people's lives. She's devious. She's a control freak. She's got that Munchausen's by proxy. Anyway, Dr. Rogers indicates she only has 3 remaining questions for the accused. In rapid fire, she puts to Miss Patterson the crux of the prosecutor's charges, that she deliberately sourced death cap mushrooms and she put them in a dish she served to her lunch guests intending to kill them. Agree or disagree? Dr. Rogers asks. Disagree, Miss Patterson responds. So that wasn't 3 questions, that was only 1, wasn't it? What happened to the other 2? Anyway, never mind. So next it will be defence barrister Colin Mandy. Let's have a look at Colin. We've not seen Colin for a while because it's all been the prosecution, hasn't it? Given their case. But let's just remember him. Where's he gone? Colin, where are you? Here he is. This is Mr. Mandy, the defence lawyer. Just so you've got a face to put to what's. So that's what happens in a trial, isn't it? If the defence decides to call the accused, the prosecution gets the first go at the. The defence gets the first go at them. Then the prosecution cross-examines, and then the defence can come back and clarify anything that they feel is important. So here's Colin stepping up to the plate now to go over some of the things. Yeah. Hi, Alana. Yeah, you can definitely. I would love to actually be able to see her face, but you can imagine the tone of her voice, can't you? She's so supercilious, she's so superior, she still thinks she's a complete smart ass, doesn't she? So that's she's Miss Smarty Pants. And she still doesn't realise that maybe people won't believe her. But who knows what the jury's thinking. So essentially, this is a chance for Colin to ask questions about matters arising out of the evidence Miss Patterson has given during cross-examination by the prosecution. He indicates to the court it will take him about 30 minutes to get through his questions. So first of all, they have a morning break. So the court hearing is back, and Colin is up to ask questions of his client. He begins by taking her to the evidence she gave about the Enrich clinic, where she previously told the court she'd been booked in for an appointment relating to gastric bypass surgery in September 2023. Now, Erin hadn't done her homework, had she there? She's not a super sleuth like she thinks she is, because she thought it'd be enough just to say, oh yeah, I went to this clinic, the Enrich clinic. She didn't seem to realise that maybe the prosecution would go and find out if that was a weight loss surgery clinic or not. And of course it isn't. So, she's straight away been caught out easily in a lie. But Erin still faced it out. Well, let's see what she says here. He begins by taking her to the evidence she gave about the Enrich clinic, where she previously told the court she had been booked in for an appointment relating to gastric bypass surgery in September 2023. Under cross-examination, she was shown a statement from the clinic which noted it does not offer gastric bypass surgery, and a fact that she accepted. So then she went on to tell another lie to the court and say, oh, well, perhaps it was a different weight loss surgery. I was looking into liposuction as well. Now, Erin has made a big deal of her weight. She has herself. It's not anybody else who's done it to her. She's talked about her body image, how she's had a terrible body image. She's tried to make people feel sorry for her, hasn't she? She had bulimia, according to her. I mean, don't forget, we have no proof that she ever had bulimia, which is a serious sort of eating disorder. But this is only what Erin said. No, but I don't think there's been any evidence presented to, say that she did have bulimia. So she made people feel sorry for her like that, saying, the reason she said that she had cancer was because she was too embarrassed to say that she wanted a gastric band, blah, de, blah, de, blah, de, blah. But, again, she's not as clever as she thinks she is, because just like with the Asian grocer, she made these throwaway comments and she didn't realise that then the prosecution would go to that clinic and find out if they actually, if she had been booked in, if they actually did do that surgery. And it turns out they don't do any weight loss procedures, apparently. So Mr. Mandy then takes his client to phone records, which show she contacted the clinic in April and May in 2023. He asked, so apparently she did contact the clinic. He asked her what she knew about the clinic's services when she made those calls. She says, I was under the understanding that they offered treatments concerning weight loss, and I believe that to be surgeries like gastric bypass and other things like liposuction and anything in between, she says. I hadn't actually had an in-person consultation with Enrich yet. That was going to be my first one. So she could have phoned that clinic about anything. She could have even phoned that clinic just as she was planning all this. She could have even phoned it, so there'd be phone calls logged. Anyway, Miss Patterson says she'd understood that her needs and treatments would be determined then and scheduled in, but she ultimately never had that appointment because she later cancelled it. So is she trying to say that she phoned a clinic thinking of having a gastric band, and the first question she asked wasn't Oh, I'm ringing up to inquire about gastric band surgery or weight loss surgery or liposuction. Isn't that the first thing you say when you phone a clinic, when you're thinking about having weight loss surgery or whatever it is you think? If you're thinking of having, I don't know, Botox or a facelift, you don't phone somewhere and not, that's the first thing that you say. I'm inquiring about whatever. I'd like to make an appointment. What did she say she was making the appointment about? Just so wrong, this, it's all complete. Um, it's all complete rubbish. I don't know why she did phone that clinic. Maybe it was part of a plan. You can't put anything past Erin, but the thing is, she is one of them that she thinks she's clever. She thinks she thought of everything, but actually, no. So thing is, what we have to remember as well about Erin is if she didn't think any of those people were going to survive that lunch, she didn't know that anybody was going to be able to say that she'd said she had cancer, because as far as she was concerned, they could all be dead. So maybe she was planning her planning like the reason that she was inviting them over. Why did she invite them over for lunch? Let's not forget that Heather and Ian had never been to lunch at Erin's before, never. So why did she invite them over that day? And of course, the prosecution was saying that they challenged Erin and said, the reason you invited Gail and Don and Heather and Ian was so that Simon would go. I think she was trying to get Simon to go. And of course, Simon did not go, but there was an extra beef Wellington apparently prepared for him, though she denies that. But you know what? Who do you believe? So anyway, apparently the cosmetic clinic changed its offerings in 2024. The defence barrister then asked Miss Patterson to look at another document, which is a screenshot of Enrich's clinic's website. The court is shown the image, which announces that Enrich Clinic has moved and also provides an update on the liposuction offered by the clinic. In essence, the page outlines that liposuction with a doctor will no longer be available from July 24. So it's possible then we've got to think, I suppose, that maybe she did think liposuction was available. She says she did, and that gastric band surgery was too. On the gastric band surgery front, she tells the court, I was obviously mistaken. Mr. Mandy then asked Miss Patterson about the 6 beef Wellington, which I don't see how you can be mistaken between a gastric band and liposuction, to be honest, which the prosecution has alleged was prepared by Miss Patterson in the hope that Simon would attend the lunch and she could poison him as well. I think that's 100% true. Miss Patterson tells the court there was a simpler reason for preparing the 6 Wellingtons. Okay, so this is get ready for this. This is the reason, according to Erin, that she prepared 6 individual beef Wellingtons. It was the number of individual eye fillets she had. I had 5 twin packs. I put 2 of the twin packs in the freezer and I just decided to use the other 6. I had enough ingredients, so I did that. Is that supposed to make sense? Because to me then, so she had 5 twin packs, so she had 10. So she put 2 of the twin packs in the freezer. Okay, fair enough, right? Yeah, so there was 6 in it. Would you open up a packet? I mean, she definitely prepared one for Simon. Definitely prepared one for Simon. Because don't forget, according to the texts, she was still hoping that he would come. Her last text to him before the lunch was, oh, well, Don and Gail and Heather and Ian are arriving at 12:30. Hope to see you then, something like that. So I think right up to the last minute, she was still hoping that Ian would go, even though he said he didn't feel comfortable. And there's no way she would have just not cooked something for him just in case he did come. Also, what would the leftovers be if there wasn't, anyway, never mind. So Mr. Mandy then takes Miss Patterson to cross-examination of her messages with estranged husband Simon Patterson. The prosecution had raised with Miss Patterson that over a sustained period of time, there was no discussion of foraging and eating mushrooms. Miss Patterson says more broadly, there was little discussion in her chats with Mr. Patterson about what they were making for dinner. It just wasn't relevant or interesting to either of us, she says. Okay. So throughout several days of cross-examination, Miss Patterson's voice has remained level as she has given evidence. But a notable exception was when she recalled the kindness she had been shown from Heather Wilkinson over the years and how that had inspired her to invite her to the Beef Wellington lunch. Now, as she's asked about the need for her to pack her daughter's bag for a ballet rehearsal on the Monday after the lunch, Miss Patterson's voice cracks. So I don't remember about that actually, but she often gets upset when she's talking about her children, doesn't she? And then he's saying here that she got upset when she was talking about Heather Wilkinson, how kind she'd been to her. Yeah. Gosh, talk about killing with kindness. I mean, definitely Erin knew there were death cap mushrooms in that meal. As I say, whether she just meant to make the meal rather than to actually, kill them, I'm not sure about that. But definitely she knew. She put them in there. She put them in there. In my opinion, allegedly. So now the prosecution has asserted that in fact she never had to do that, but Miss Patterson reaffirms under re-examination that it was. I don't know what that relevance is. So her voice also becomes choked as she's asked why she was so insistent about taking her son to his flying lesson in Tayab the day after the lunch. Now, remember, that was a bit, that was a long journey to take her son to this flying lesson. Even her son said to her, look, it doesn't matter, because she was supposed to be ill, don't forget, she's supposed to be never off the toilet. But she went anyway, an hour and a half journey, I think it was, or certainly a very long journey. And that's when apparently she says she got caught short and had to go to the loo in the woods. Her son says no, she didn't have to stop to go to the toilet. She made that very quick stop, 9 seconds stop. But anyway, so he was really passionate about it, and he's had a lot of cancelled lessons, and I just didn't want to disappoint him. A teary Miss Patterson tells the jury. Now, when it says teary, this is when I'd really like to see her, because we saw her in that interview that she did with the reporters outside her house. She pretending to cry, but there were no tears. There were no tears. I mean, are there tears? They're saying she's teary, but is she though? Is she teary, or, is it false? Is she just pretending to cry? Is she looking at her fingerprints again? Looking at her fingers again? So, I don't know. Is she genuinely upset, or is she just pretending to be upset? So, and there, Miss Patterson was finished in the witness box. So, the defence didn't go over much, did they, after that cross-examination? So there was only that little bit. So here we are. What do we think? This is the end of evidence now. because there's no other witnesses called by the defence. So the defence does not call, any experts. Look at all the experts that the prosecution called. God, we were experted out, weren't we? We've had experts in phone data, mushrooms. We've had experts in intensive care. We've had experts in toxicity of these mushrooms, toxicology. Oh my God, we had so many witnesses for the prosecution, but the only witness that the defence has called is Erin. Now, of course, they could have called Ian Wilkinson, but I suppose they've already cross-examined him, but I don't think there was much cross-examination. Mr. Mandy won't want to call anybody else because they will, who else can he call? Because Erin has challenged what everybody has said and said it's not the way it happened, or she doesn't remember, or they were mistaken. So that's it from the defence. There is no other defence. What do we think? I'm going to put a poll up, see if anybody's checked. I think if anyone's changed their minds, it's probably people that thought maybe she was innocent now think, oh, she's definitely guilty. Okay. I want to... Where's my poll? I can't find how to put a poll now. Oh, actually, I've just remembered something while I'm on. It is time to gift memberships on my Spanish channel. So let's have a look at that. Right, I'm going to gift. I get 10 memberships a month from YouTube that I can't choose who they go to. But 10 free memberships a month. But it's only on my Spanish and English channel, because that was the first channel that I had. So that's my main channel, even though, I've tried to change it over. It's very complicated. I'd probably end up losing all my YouTube channels. So I'm not doing it. But I can offer memberships on there, which does mean that people can watch the members' videos. But unfortunately, it seems like the chat does not go over. So like if somebody puts a chat message in my Spanish and English channel, the people in my Vicky Marie Chap's channel can't see it. So sometimes when you think somebody's blocked you or ignoring you, it's because they're on the other channel. So just be aware of that. I mean, the thing is, as far as chat's concerned, people block. And if people want to, I can't police whether people block someone or not. And as long as somebody's not directly offensive to somebody, I won't remove them. If they are, I do remove them. But, so don't, what I would say about it is bear in mind that sometimes when you think you've been blocked, maybe you haven't, maybe they're on the other channel. So that's a possibility. So let's have a look. I've got 10 gift memberships left to send this month. So I'm going to send them 5. They go 5 at a time. So there you go. That's the first 5 members. Oh, we've got Julie76, Excel Spreadsheet, who is a member on the other channel, Dara Wong, Little Marley, and Gina M. So now I'm going to do the next 5. I'll just get them done. And the other 5 are English Girl in UK, Anita Powell, Gary Denton, which is Ruth, she's a regular chatter, Mark Mullen, and Cass D. So they are the members. They've been given member, but don't forget they're on my on my other channel though. So you can join in the yeah, you did, Excel. You can still join in like the members, but they are, it is different from the Vicky Marie Chats channel. So you may not be able to chat between channels. That's all I would say, just so you're aware. Okay, so where are we? Yeah, so with Erin Patterson's time in the witness box over, Justice Christopher Beale announces to the jury this is the end of the evidence in this trial, and they're instructed to head home for the day so legal discussions can take place. So more legal discussions. They like their legal discussions, don't they? And tomorrow there will be there will be court tomorrow, but let's see what happens next. In the coming days, there'll be closing arguments from both sides and final instructions from the judge to the jury before they begin deliberating to reach a verdict. And remember that last week, Justice Christopher Beale indicated that getting through all of the above could push things towards the end of June. Now, let me just show you the photo again of Justice Beale. I've been looking for a photo of Justice Beale with a wig on, and I haven't been able to find one. Do judges wear wigs in Australia? Because I know in some places, we're very formal. In the UK, judges always have to wear their wigs, but this is Justice Beale. I'm going to take this photo and put a wig on it, I think, because I want to see him looking like a judge. But maybe some of you that are in Australia will be able to tell me, do judges wear wigs? In fact, I could Google it, I suppose. That might be just as easy. Oh, that's useful. In some Australian courts, judges do wear wigs, while in others they do not. Some courts have dispensed with wigs altogether, while others still require them for certain proceedings. For example, judges in the federal court no longer wear wigs. However, judges in the family court still wear wigs for security reasons. How's a wig going to protect you? I suppose it's just to make it clear they're the judge. I don't know. And it just says, while the wig and robe were once considered a way to this is AI now that comes up every time you Google something. Were once considered a way to distinguish judges from the public, some argue that they also serve a purpose in maintaining the formality and solemnity of the court. I've got a feeling this, because they've had a lot of laughs going on in this court. Maybe he isn't wearing a wig. I'm sorry, I'm old school. They should wear a wig. They should wear robes. Courts are this is a triple murder case and an attempted murder case. It's not it's not a laugh a minute thing. This is the court. If you can't be serious in court, where can you be serious? I think that I think judges should wear wigs personally, or certainly their robes and everything. And then it just says exceptions. In some cases, wigs and robes may still be worn for special events or ceremonies. So I'm going to put a wig on and robes on Justice Beale, just to make me feel better. So, I mean, I don't mean a comedy one. I'm going to put a nice one. So. Yeah. So that's where we are. That's where we are in this case. So it'll be closing arguments starting tomorrow. what they're going to say. So, God, they'll need to remind everybody of everything because, 30 days into this trial, the jury will have forgotten what happened the first week, won't they? Second week, third week, fourth week. They've got a lot of recapping to do. The first people to the very first person to give evidence was Simon, Erin's ex-husband. And we've probably forgotten most of what he said by now. And then I think it was Ian directly after that, Ian Wilkinson, the only survivor. And then, of course, oh, God, we've had so much evidence. We've had Funky Tom. I just like saying that and seeing his photo. We've heard about various things, various experts. We've heard, as I say, about mushrooms, about data, from doctors, from toxicologists. We've really had a lot of testimony as far as the prosecution was concerned. The defence only called Erin, has not called anybody else to testify. We had this lady talking, Sally. She was the lady that had to do the investigation to try and find out where the Asian supermarket was, just in case, anybody else had been poisoned. And it all, of course, revolves around this beef Wellington. In fact, not like that, the individual beef Wellingtons that were served to these poor, unfortunate people, of which only one is still alive. Or two, if you count Erin, because she also supposedly ate that. I just, I don't know. I wonder what she's thinking now. Wonder what she's thinking. God. So it's going to go on into next week. Hopefully it'll be finished by the end of next week. What day are we on? It's Thursday, isn't it? Yeah, it's Thursday. Fridays are always a short day. So I don't think they'll even get through all the closing arguments tomorrow. So it'll go into next week. They'll have the closing arguments. Then the judge will be telling the jury, like giving them instructions. I wonder if he's going to say to them, because if I was on the jury, I think I might be saying, is there an alternative to murder? Is it because I'm not 100% convinced that she intended to kill them. That's the only thing with me. 100% in my eyes, she put those death cap mushrooms in there deliberately. But did she mean to kill, or did she just mean to make mill? And does it make a difference? Because she did kill them. And if she premeditated putting those mushrooms in there, knowing that they were going to cause serious harm, even if she didn't realize they were going to kill them, does it matter? So that's the sort of thing if I was on the jury, I'd want to know. I'd want some advice from the judge over that, how to look on it. But yeah. Oh, that's right. I'm going to put a poll on the on the community post. I'm going to put a poll to see if people think Erin is guilty or not, or will she be found guilty. Yeah, still poisoning, but the thing is, she's charged with murder and attempted murder. That's different from manslaughter, say, for example. I don't know. I'm just saying I would want the judge to give me the guidance for that, because the judge knows. So because that would be the only thing that would be rolling through my head is this murder or is this manslaughter? Or does it matter? May not matter. At the end of the day, if she did it deliberately, there was always a chance it could end in death. And maybe she did mean to kill them. The only other thing, that just does, I'm just doing devil's advocate things that go through my head. If you kill 4 people on one day, that's going to draw attention, isn't it? I'm 100% certain that Erin has done things to people, but I think she's a bit more sneaky than that. To give 4 people on one day death cap mushrooms, thinking that they're going to be at the best they're going to be really ill, it's going to draw attention to you, isn't it? Surely she's not that stupid, to do that, is it? I mean, obviously there's going to be an inquiry if 4 people die after they've been to your house for lunch. So that's the only thing that I think maybe she didn't actually mean to kill them. Maybe it's just meant to make the meal. It's just like spite. Or maybe I shouldn't try and think, how someone like Erin would think, because I think she's very devious. She's a very devious person. There's a lot going on in there, and it's not good. It's not good. Yeah. Yeah, she obviously wanted to make the meal. That's definite intention. She wanted to show them. That's how it feels to me. But what did she think that, it's like if I, maybe 4 people that I hate, and I bring them over to their house, to my house, and I give them a curry, and they all die. Of course, the attention's gonna go on me, isn't it? Wouldn't you do it? So now I'm not planning on how to murder someone, but wouldn't you do it one at a time? Like, wouldn't you do it a bit more discreetly? Maybe vary the method of killing them, poison one, shoot another. I don't know, different things. But to just do that all in one fell swoop just seems to me a bit much. But anyway. She could have done. Oh, so the other trial, of course, that's just finished or finishing is Fruit Loop. Laurie Daybell. I was watching it last night, her closing arguments and everything. She's another one, but she seems to have forgotten she's been found guilty of murdering all these people, including her own children, and she gets like really testy, doesn't she, with the judge? If you've watched it, I've looked at it a couple of times. But I've been consumed with this case, of course. But I might look at the end of that trial later, maybe, because she's another Fruit Loop, isn't she? But, she got other people to do it for her. Erin obviously couldn't quite manage that, get a hitman like Laurie got her weird brother, Alex, to do it all. But, very interesting. This is what I mean. You can't ever think that people aren't capable of things. People that you don't expect, they are. They are capable. People are capable of bad things, aren't they? Even people that you don't expect, which is very sad. And Laurie did it all in the name of religion. She thinks she can explain it all away, and doesn't bother her that Tylee and JJ are dead. She speaks to them regularly. She knows they're happy where they are. Whatever. Okay. I'm going to love you and leave you, as they say. Hopefully, I'll definitely see my members later. And maybe back on with, for a public live, or certainly release some videos perhaps. But I'll see you later. So thank you so much, as always, for watching. Don't forget to leave your fingerprint on the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, please, if you're not already subscribed. They're completely free ways you can help my channel. And if you want to help my channel a little bit more, why not become a member and come and join us tonight in the members live? Or, of course, you can buy Ko-fis and things like that. But just watching and caring especially about these people, that this is the crux of this matter. The 3 people are dead. Triple murder and attempted murder. And Ian is just lucky to be alive, but he's living with the trauma of it all. So let's put a little candle up for them. Okay, thank you so much. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, as always, may your God go with you. Bye.